Our discussion for the last few weeks has been to be your best, becoming a go-to player. My objective has been helping you, okay, sharing principles with you actually to become that person that is an asset to the organization where you work and not a liability. I'm going to recap a few of those ideas with you tonight, and then I'm going to share the content that I have for us tonight. So we said before now that success and everything that comes with it is a reward for problems solved. Okay? Successful people don't run away from problems, they embrace them. They know that success and everything that comes with it is a reward for problems solved. And we established also that the quality of your reward, therefore, is determined by the quality of your contribution. The quality of your reward is determined by the quality of your contribution. In other words, if I want more, all I need to do is contribute more to adding value to people, to solving problems for people. I told you before now that you are a seed. You are a creature of immense potential. What it means is that you can improve the quality of your contribution. So a better version of you will contribute more. More contribution will lead to more success. That has been the foundation of all that we have been looking at for the past few weeks. I have shared some big ideas with us, okay, about becoming a go-to player. I said, develop a winning attitude. Develop a winning attitude. Your attitude must be positive. You must have a growth-oriented mindset, not a fixed mindset. You must be resilient in your thinking, in your approach to your tasks and everything you do. Okay, you've got to develop a winning attitude. Number 2, I told you to become an asset and not a liability. Okay, become an asset and not a liability. An asset contributes significantly to the bottom line of the organization. A liability costs more than he contributes. A liability costs more than he contributes. And then last Wednesday, I shared with you my third suggestion. I said, be a learner, not an expert. Be a learner, not an expert. Because of time, I won't even be able to recap that. That's so fresh in our memory. Now, my big idea for this evening, the fourth suggestion, the final suggestion that I have for you. You want to be a go-to player. You want to become the best version of yourself. The fourth suggestion is this: collaborate, don't compete. Collaborate, don't compete. Now, the human race has come a very, very long way. In the Stone Age, way back in those days, we started from warfare. Okay? Then it was the survival of the fittest. All right? It was a game of life and death. For one person to live, one person has to die. It was what they call the dog eat dog, okay, system in those days. Okay. And you will notice when humans get to extremes, we still bring out some barbaric instincts. And that's why you see people go to war. You see men go to war. Okay. Way back in those days, if two men argue about an issue, they settle it with duels. One person has to die. That's where mankind started from. It was barbaric. It was animalistic. Okay. We don't do warfare anymore. So we evolved. As we evolved in our civilization, we moved from warfare, we moved to competition. Okay? Competition is not as terrible as warfare. In warfare, somebody has to die. In competition, it now becomes the better man wins. Okay? Warfare created a life and death scenario. Competition now created a winner and loser scenario. So somebody does not have to die, but one person has to win, the other person has to lose. But as our civilization evolved, we also evolved from competition. And there's a conversation going on all around workplaces, okay, universities, okay, everywhere you have people right now. The buzzword is now collaboration and no longer competition. The beautiful thing about collaboration is in collaboration, everybody wins. In collaboration, everybody wins. And my suggestion to you is this: if you are going to be a go-to player, you want to be collaborative and not competitive. You want to be collaborative and not competitive. But let's back up a little bit. Competition is not entirely bad. As a matter of fact, because of the scarcity of resources and the scarcity of opportunities, competition is how you get into any space you want to get into. So let's give an example. An organization wants to hire. They can only hire about 3 people. And there are 200 people vying for that role. They have to look for a way of picking 3 out of 200. That is the reason why they will create, a parameter for coming in, qualification. They will probably administer tests and then interviews just to pick 3 out of 200. So we still have competition all around us. And like I said, competition is not entirely a bad thing. As a matter of fact, competition is how humans choose the better of 2 or more alternatives. Without competition, we cannot get the best of products. Without competition, the politicians will deceive all of us. We don't get the best of leaders without competition. So competition is not entirely bad. As a matter of fact, like I said, for you to press into a new level, for you to press into circles you've never operated in before, you may have to compete to get in. But listen, once you get in, you must switch. Because the mistake some people make is they compete, and some of us started so early. Elementary school, you were competing. Oh, you were first in class. Okay. By the time you left elementary school, you were in a high school, you were competing. And some people are so competition oriented that after they have gotten in, they continue to compete. Now, when you continue to compete after you have gotten in, there is a problem. I see it happen a lot in relationships. A young man competes with other men to win a lady's heart, and then he wins her heart, but because he's competition oriented, he begins to compete with her. Because you see, that is the only mode he functions in. Competition. Somebody has to win. Okay. He gets into an argument with his significant other, and then he's arguing because he must win, not because he is making sense. Some people have to have the last word, have to have the final say because they are competitive in nature. Listen to me. My message to you tonight is this. Competition may get you in, but it will not help you grow. Our objective in this series of teachings we've been covering is how you can continue to grow till you become the best version of yourself. And essentially, we don't know that best version of you until you exit the earth. The way humans are designed, you continue to grow. You have the ability to continue to get better till you die. But something that is going to stand in the way of your growth or your continuous growth is competition. Competition may get you in, but competition will not help you grow. It is collaboration that will help you to attain to the fullness of your potential. Why am I saying this? It is because you have strengths and you have weaknesses. Everybody has them. I like the way somebody said it. He said weaknesses are like noses. Everybody has one. You have strengths and you have weaknesses. Now look at what happens when you are in competition mode. Competition points other people's attention to your weaknesses. Therefore, it takes your attention away from your strengths. Now this is crucial. This is important. Competition points other people's attention to your weaknesses. Because you see, the moment we are in competition mode, I must look for where you are weak and strike you where you are weak. Okay, so competition points other people's attention to your weaknesses. For you to protect yourself, for you to defend yourself, you have to take away energy and attention from your strength and also put it at your weaknesses. So you begin to defend. Okay, let me remind us, when the whole world labored under COVID-19, the pandemic, you notice that at a point, almost the whole world at a point was in total lockdown. So we couldn't go out, we couldn't do business, people couldn't make money, people were hungry. Why? Because the whole world was in defense mode. To protect ourselves, we cannot produce results. Okay, and you've got to put that at the back of your mind. You are either producing results or you are protecting yourself. And what competition does is competition points attention to your weaknesses. Okay, because you know everybody needs to exploit your weakness to win in competition. You have to pay attention to your weakness, all right, to defend yourself. What does competition do? It creates a lose-lose situation. Why? Because you see, you have a greater chance of getting better at your strengths than getting better at your weaknesses. So, competition creates a lose-lose scenario. Because for me to win, I have to focus on your weaknesses. It means, you see, you cannot focus on two things at the same time. If I am focused on your weakness, I can't be focused on my strength. If you are focused on your weakness to defend yourself, you can't be focused on your strength. So, competition puts everybody in defense mode. When all of us are playing defense, we are not going to be as productive as we are supposed to be. But collaboration, on the other hand, creates a win-win situation, because my strength will cover your weaknesses and then your strength will cover mine. So together we become all strength and no weaknesses. Let's assume there's an organization. They are into, say, a telecoms organization. All right. They have, say, a marketing department. In this marketing department, there are two guys. One of them is very creative. The other one perhaps is a connector. So the guy that is a connector is not as creative, but he knows how to connect with people. He's an extrovert. He's an outgoing type. The creative guy does not know how to connect with people, but he knows how to connect with his own imagination and innovate and bring things to life that did not even exist before. Now, the two of them are in the same department. If they begin to compete, the creative person looks for the weakness of the extrovert and begins to say, you know what, you are not organized, you are not creative, you are not that, you are not this. This other guy also focuses on the weakness of the creative guy and says, listen, I'm the one that brings in the business. Without the people I bring in, your creativity is useless. If they both focus on each other's weaknesses, it becomes a lose-lose situation. Nobody wins. But if the two of them collaborate, they become all strength and no weaknesses. The creative guy knows, I am strong at bringing to life things that never existed before. This other person is strong at connecting with people. So they say to themselves, you create solutions, services, products, I will sell them. Money comes into the organization, they both get paid. All right. So collaboration creates a team of all strength and no weaknesses, because most of the time where you are weak is where somebody else is strong. Where somebody else is strong perhaps is where you're weak. When you collaborate together, you cover one another. Let's share with you the story of Mike Adams. Mike Adams is a consultant, an author that I follow on LinkedIn. He told a beautiful story. I want to share it with you. He said when he was a teenager, he was a member of a boat club. In that club, they had over 30 of them in the club. He said their best sailor was one guy who was very competitive and he liked to keep his secret to himself. Every time they competed, he was always winning. As a matter of fact, when this guy is sailing in after he has won a race, he will quickly change all the settings on his boat so that people don't discover his secret. Now, the second best sailor in their club was an elderly man who liked to share information. After some time, Mike Adams and a few of his friends, decided to collaborate with this man who was willing to share information. After some time, everybody in the club except this, best guy was part of that group, and they will meet together. Their objective was to learn from one another and to develop their skills, their sailing skills. After about 3 or 4 years, Mike Adams won the first national championship. When he won the national championship, the best sailor in the club had never won it. The following year, another person won it, a member of the club. The third year, another person won it. After some time, one of the members of that group won a world championship. The best sailor in the club never won, even though at the club level, he was always winning. I learned a few lessons from that story, and this is it. When you fight for yourself, it is difficult to attain a very high level of achievement. But if you collaborate with like-minded people, you multiply your opportunities and your potential for improvement. Let me say it in another way. When you win alone, you lose, because people are more important than projects. People are more important than prosperity. People are the best of all God's creation, and people that value people eventually become more valuable themselves. As we go on this evening, let me share with you 3 benefits of collaboration. My big idea, my suggestion to you this evening, you want to be a go-to player, you want to continue to grow to become the best version of yourself, collaborate, don't compete. So let's look at 3 benefits of collaboration. Listen, collaboration makes people feel safe around you. And when people feel safe, they perform at their best. So everybody wins. Competition puts people in self-preservation mode. When people are in self-preservation mode, they don't take risks, they don't make suggestions, they just try to play safe. All right? They will prioritize their own safety over the success of the team. So you don't want to do that. You want to be the collaborative kind of person. You want to be in a collaborative environment and not a competitive environment, because collaboration makes people feel safe. The second benefit of collaboration is this: competition feeds your pride, but collaboration feeds your humility. Pride leads to destruction, but humility leads to promotion. I'm looking at 3 benefits of collaboration. First is safety. When people collaborate, they feel safe. When people feel safe, they bring out their best. They are willing to take risks. They are willing to step out of the limb. When people do that, everybody wins. I said number 2, competition feeds pride, but collaboration feeds humility. Let me tell you how that happens. You see, the moment you know I have strengths, but I have weaknesses. Listen, your strengths create value for you, okay, in the lives of other people. Your weaknesses create value for other people in your life. So people who are mindful of both their strengths and their weaknesses, they tend to be humble, because I am not all that. Without the contribution of other people, I cannot get to where I am going. In other words, I am important, but I am not the most important. Other people are important on this journey too. So collaboration helps you to be humble, and when you are humble, you experience promotion in life. This is what I found out. People like to work with humble people. People like to promote humble people. Okay? Superior people like to work with a humble person. Colleagues like to work with a humble person. Subordinates like to work with a humble person. So when you are humble, it's a win-win. When you are humble, you win at the end of the day. The third benefit of collaboration over competition is this: there is always something you don't know. And prolonged ignorance is expensive. Very, very expensive. But collaboration reduces the cost of ignorance significantly. You see, a lot of times, there is always somebody around you who knows what you don't know. And most of the time, they are willing to offer the information to you absolutely free, on one condition. It is if they don't consider you the enemy. That is why it is important to prioritize collaboration over competition. There is always something you don't know. As a matter of fact, if you're very intelligent, if you're very sharp, if you are very effective, that focus you have, that capacity you have to produce results, also makes you liable to blind spots. So at every point in time, there's something you are not seeing. There's something you don't know. And the cost of your ignorance can be very, very expensive. But when the people around you don't feel like you are the enemy, when the people around you see you more as a collaborator than a competitor, they will tell you what you don't know for absolutely free. Quickly, I'm reminded of the story in the Bible of Naaman the Syrian. Okay, according to scriptures, this guy was a valiant warrior. He was successful. He was an advisor to the king. He was celebrated. He had only one problem. He had leprosy. Now, he had a slave girl in his house, but I need you to understand that slave girl was not an employee. She was a proceed of war. She was taken from her homeland. She was taken against her will. She was separated from her family for her to be present as a slave in the house of Naaman. If she had been treated like an enemy, if she had not been loved, if she did not feel at home, if she did not feel like she belonged in Naaman's house, okay, or a valuable member of his family or his team, she will not have ventured this simple information. She said to her mistress, there is a prophet where I came from that can help your husband. And for those of us who are people of faith, you know the end of the story. Naaman went to see the prophet. At the end of the story, he was healed, delivered completely of his leprosy, not because of his strength or of his valiance, but of strength or his notoriety or anything like that, but because of the advice of a slave who felt connected enough to venture information. Many of us work in organizations where we are trying to achieve something that we consider very massive, yet the breakthrough idea we are looking for is in the mind of one of our subordinates or somebody around us that perhaps we don't ascribe too much of value to. But when you become collaborative instead of competitive, people will become comfortable to share ideas. I'm reminded of the story of Jim Anderson of Mile High Seed Company in Colorado in the US. He had the contract to produce a number of seeds, crates of seeds in a day. As a matter of fact, the orders they were receiving became so massive that they felt what they needed to do was to automate their system. Of course, they brought in a consultant, and the consultant gave them a solution that required that they spent over $5,000, to automate the whole of their system. He didn't have the money. He went to the bank, but no bank was willing to loan him. So Jim Anderson went back to his company and called a meeting of his staff, and he told them what the problem was. One guy who worked in the factory gave an idea. I said, sir, what if we do it this way, do it this way, do it this way? The idea of this employee was only going to cost the company $500. Jim Anderson listened to him. They implemented that simple idea. 3 months later, they were able to meet all their demands. About a year later, they started producing over double of what they were producing before. Not by following the suggestion of the consultant, but the idea of an employee he had always had in his organization. John Maxwell calls that the benefit of shared thinking. But you don't share thinking with people if you don't value them, if you don't treat them as collaborators. What's my message to you this evening? You want to be a go-to player, you want to continue to grow to become the best version of yourself, collaborate. Don't compete. As I round up this evening, allow me to share with you things I believe you should do to promote collaboration around you. Listen, leadership is not about who is in front. Leadership can come from anywhere in an organization because leadership is influence. Regardless of where you are in an organization, you can promote collaboration. I have 5 suggestions for you this evening. You want to promote collaboration on your team, in your organization, wherever you find yourself. Do these 5 things. Number 1, share vital information. Share vital information. This is what I've discovered. Generosity begets generosity. Generosity begets generosity. So when good information comes your way, trade secrets come your way, don't keep them to yourself. Share vital information. From time to time, I stumble on materials, on books, on videos, that benefit me. See, but the moment I enjoy it, this is what I found out. That you know something and it benefits you does not mean that you are going to lose anything by sharing it with somebody else. I like that statement that says that a candle does not lose anything by lighting another candle. So, share vital information. You've discovered a book that has inspired you or that is helping you to raise your game. Share the information. Share the book with your friends and loved ones. You stumble on a video on YouTube. You see, you need to understand. Any information you see on the internet, if you are not the author, then it means so many other people have access to the same information. Why will you keep such information from the people that are closest to you? Share vital information. Number 2, you want to promote collaboration. Share opportunities. Share opportunities. Why? That's how people know that you truly care about their success. Don't just share information, share opportunities. Share opportunities. You are in a meeting and the boss says, we would like to do something. You know it's not for you and you know somebody else that will benefit from that opportunity. Share the opportunity. Sometimes you have an opportunity, it has been given to you, but it will not benefit you as much as it will benefit somebody else. Share the opportunity. Number 3, to promote collaboration, Share the load. Share the load. Don't leave the difficult tasks to others alone. Do some of the heavy lifting. I've been in work environments, and you see, if care is not taken, you would notice, especially those who are like bosses, the tendency is for you to leave the difficult things for your subordinates to do, and then you want to do the easy things. You want to do simple things. It doesn't work that way. You have to share the load. It must be obvious to everybody that when the pressure is on, we are all bearing the pressure together. It's important. So, share the load. Number 4, you want to promote collaboration, share the spotlight. Share the spotlight. When the world is celebrating you, point their attention to your collaborators. Share the spotlight. I like that in sports a lot. I see it in basketball. I see it especially in football. This is what you will notice. When a striker scores a goal, okay, he does not just celebrate himself. He points to the person that passed him the ball. In football, it's called an assist. Well, I think in almost every ball game, it's called an assist. Okay. You see, the person that provides the assist sometimes is even more visionary and more technically skilled than the striker. I'm familiar with soccer, so I will talk about football. A lot of times, what a striker does is be at the right place at the right time. Sometimes, as long as the striker is in the box 18, okay, he's in the 18-yard box, and he can just kick the ball into the net. Okay, sometimes that's what he does. I know it takes a lot of skill, but the assist, sometimes some of the best midfielders in the world are the ones that provide these assists. In my team, Manchester City, we have a young man called Kevin De Bruyne. He is a visionary. Some of the kind of passes that he makes happen are phenomenal, are legendary. And this is what you notice. The moment the striker scores, he runs in the direction of the person that provided the assists. If you want your team to be collaborative, you want the energy to build in your team, you want everybody to know on your team that they belong. Every time you score, share the spotlight. Point in the direction of the person that provided the assist. And finally, this evening, you want to promote collaboration on your team, in your organization, share the credit. Okay? Share the credit. Celebrate the people who help you win. Now, the previous one, I said share the spotlight. The world is celebrating you right there and then. Point in the direction of the person who provided the assist. But this 5th one is share the credit. The world does not know about these people. A lot of times I'm talking about these guys that labor behind the scene. Okay? Share the credit with them. Whatever you benefit from your win, make sure you share with them. Share the money. Share everything that comes with it. Never go up alone. It's important. Never succeed alone. Never go up alone. Share the credit. Okay, let me quickly remind you what have I said. To promote collaboration, do the following. Share vital information, share opportunities, share the load, share the spotlight, and share the credit. I think I should rest at that point, and let's continue next week, Wednesday.